الرحيم الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهدي الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله وبعد. We started this morning with the conditions that go with the statement La ilaha illallah, and we mentioned that this was one of the lessons that Sheikh Abdul Razak ibn Abdul Muhsin, who was from the scholars of Al-Madinah along with his father, gave a couple of weeks ago when we were on Umrah. ونسأل الله سبحانه وتعالى أن يكتب لشيخنا خير جزاء وأن يضاعف له حسناته على ميزانه يوم القيامة. We ask Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala to write for the Shaykh a great reward for his teaching and his patience with the students and the laymen, and to write for him a great reward on the Day of Judgment because of it. Ameen. And we'd like to again extend our welcome to some of the visitors here at the Islamic Center of Columbus County. ونسأل الله سبحانه وتعالى and يبارك فينا جميعا آمين, to bless us all and يهدينا إلى السبيل الرشاد, and guide us onto a path of direction. Ameen. We had come to the point where we're talking about truthfulness in Islam, as truthfulness is one of the conditions. And the opposite of being truthful would be that the person is untruthful. So the Shaykh, you mentioned this, the word in Arabic, kadab, which is the opposite of sidq. Sidq, to be truthful. And that means, the Shaykh said, on the tongue as well as in the heart. Mathalan, for example, you say to a person, I love you. Or you say to a person, I don't like you. If you say to the person, I love you, but in your heart you don't really mean it, or you don't feel it, then this is an example of kadhib. This is being untruthful. Although you display one thing on the tongue, داخل في قلبك شيء آخر. شيء آخر. In your heart you have something different. This is the meaning of shay'an akhar. Something here different, something on the tongue different. Sheikh said, in order for a person to have this condition fulfilled, to make your shahada valid, there are conditions. One of them is sidq. You must make the statement, La ilaha illallah. You bear witness no one should be worshipped except Allah. You must make that on the tongue, and you must really believe and hold that to be true in the heart. So this was example the Shaykh gave of truthfulness, which is the condition of the shahada. You say on your tongue that statement, and you redeem that, you believe that, you feel that, you hold that true in the heart. Not on the tongue one thing, but in the heart something different. So we give the example, you say to someone you love them, but inside, I can't stand him. I hope he get hit by a car. It's not love. I hope a mountain fall on his head. It's not love. Or you said to him, I love you, but in your heart, you wish something bad from him. This is contradictory. The tongue must match with the heart. And if it doesn't, then the Shaykh said this is not really truthfulness. And you have a problem with your declaration, La ilaha illallah, if that truthfulness isn't there. He mentioned also, we said that if a person has this untruthfulness inside, remember we're talking about two folds, on the tongue, outward. You speak it, you say it, people attest to it. You hold to something else in the heart, nobody knows about that except you and Allah. And it's manifest in different ways. The tongue must match with the heart. If it doesn't, then the Shaykh said it's kadhib. It's being untruthful. And if it's being untruthful at the same time, it's nifaq, hypocrisy. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, إن المنافقين في الدرك الأسفل من النار. That the hypocrites, the ones that profess something on the tongue, but in their heart is something else, they will be in the bottom of the hellfire. ولا ينفعهم أن يصلون الصلوات الخمس ولا يصوم رمضان ولا شيء. And it will not benefit them that they pray 5 salat and fast Ramadan. If they're doing something outwardly but inside it's not true, they don't hold that to be the real deal, then it's of no benefit. That's why the companions of the Messenger of Allah, they were afraid, because this is a human quality you have to fight against, have to keep in check. Then the Shaykh, he mentioned ikhlas, we said, tasfiyat al-amal, and taj'al a'maluka safiyan min kulli shay. The word ikhlas, we normally say sincerity, purity. But the Shaykh explained this means to make your actions without any taint. Without any taint. You don't do an action hoping that Allah rewards you, but you also want the people to praise you. So if the people don't praise you, you get an attitude. That's not ikhlas. That's not an amal safiyah. That's not a pure action. You want Allah to reward you, but part of you is that you hope the people praise you. And if the people don't say, oh man, that was a good talk, or your recitation was off the chain, you feel some kind of way. If you find that type of example with yourself, then know that your action is not sincere for Allah, and Allah will never accept it. Haban manthura, like scattered dust, Allah mentioned in the Quran. You will come Yawmul Qiyamah thinking you have deeds and Allah is going to reward you. Imagine this is your deeds and you say, now your hand's empty. You have nothing. Allah described that like this in the Quran. And then the last thing we didn't mention this morning was muhabba. Having the love in the religion. You can't just have a shahada, but there's some type of aspects tied to saying there's no deity worthy of worship except Allah. That's an issue of love around here. But before we go on, wa barakallahu fikum, Tabaraka wa ta'ala mentioned this in the Quran when he said, وَمِنَ النَّاسِ مَنْ يَتَّخِذُ مِنْ دُونِ اللَّهِ أَنْدَادًا يُحِبُّونَهُمْ كَحُبِّ اللَّهِ. And from amongst mankind, whenever you hear from amongst mankind, this means everybody's not in this category. Some people will be like this, others won't. Allah said from amongst mankind. And this just means from amongst human beings. We're not like the people in the nation of Islam that said man, Allah Mustaan, the original man. Man, and then mankind is one who's not the original man. He's like the white man and all those other people. But man is the black man. He's original. And mankind means artificial. No, we're not on that. Mankind, human beings, the son of Adam, all of them mean the same people who have a heart that pumps blood, they live and they die, no matter what color, what race, what background. So mankind, when the Tabaraka say from amongst mankind's son, they take things as objects of worship with a love that they give to those objects of worship besides Allah. Meaning, if you love Allah, and indeed you have to love Him, if you're going to serve Him, you have to love Him. If you recognize He's your creator and He's the one who gives you and so forth, then that love is only for Him. No one can be loved like Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala if you're true to Him as a servant. But people have not only taken the love that's due to Allah, they've taken it and given it to objects of worship. They take and give it as objects of worship, that love that's due to Allah. And then Allah said, وَالَّذِينَ آمَنُوا أَشَدُّ حُبًّا لِلَّهِ. But those who really believe, you're going to find them giving more love than anything to Allah. So we are arriving at the point now, the third thing the Shaykh was talking about, Shaykh Abdul Razak, when he was talking about the conditions of La ilaha illallah. Somebody tell me, what is the meaning of La ilaha illallah before we go any further? From the right, quickly. What is the meaning? La ilaha illallah. You got to raise your voice. You're on the line. Barakallahu fikum. You're on TV. You want a mic?
There's no God except Allah.
Alhamdulillah. Allahu Akbar. He said there's no God except Allah. There's no God except Allah. Somebody on the left want to agree with him or disagree?
I disagree.
Somebody said they disagree from the left. Somebody from the right agree or disagree? No God but Allah means there's no God but Allah?
نعم لا معبود بحق إلا الله.
No God worthy to be worshipped but Allah.
طيب هذا ليس نفس الشيء. إذا قال الله تبارك وتعالى لا إله إلا الله فهذا قول ليس بمجرد اللفظ فيه معنى أخرى. If Allah says La ilaha illallah, and indeed He says that in the Quran, then it doesn't mean what you see in face value. It has an underlying meaning. And Fadila to Shaykh Al-Alama, Shaykh Salih Fawzan, when he was talking about this issue in his writings, in his books, when he talked about the Tawheed, because this is an issue of making Allah in a class by Himself. Yusamaha Tawheed. This is the meaning of Tawheed. Make Allah alone in every way. Shaykh Fawzan, he said, if you say La ilaha illallah means just that, then this means everything this worship is Allah. If La ilaha illallah really means La ilaha illallah really means there's no God but Allah, there's only one God, then that means Jesus, when the Christians say He's God, He's Allah too. The stones, when people worship the idols, that means those stones are Allah too. When the people took the sun as a deity besides Allah, the sun is Allah too. The same thing with the moon. When the people took the cow and they made the private part in India, the penis, and the people made the rats, and all of these things, your desires you make, as a person can make his desires as God, a deity besides Allah too. So when you say there is no God but Allah, that means everything that's worship, all of it's Allah. And that's why Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala, when He was disputing these claims and these false deities, He said, ذَلِكَ بِأَنَّ اللَّهَ هُوَ الْحَقَّ وَأَنَّ مَا يَدْعُونَ مِن دُونِهِ الْبَاطِلِ وفي آية أخرى فهو الباطل. Surah Al-Luqman, Surah Al-Hajj, similar. Allah said, and that is because, meaning, no one has the right to be worshipped except Allah. And not that there's no God but Allah, just one God. He said there is no deity that has the right to be worshipped. Why? ذَلِكَ بِأَنَّ اللَّهُ هُوَ الْحَقِّ. Because Allah is the true deity to be worshipped. Not the false deity, the true deity. What happened to the rest of those deities? Allah said, and everything that's worshipped other than Allah, هُوَ الْبَاطِلِ. Then it is the false deity. This is the meaning of La ilaha illallah. La ma'bud bihaqq illallah. There's nothing that should be worshipped except Allah. Somebody saying something?
I said I didn't know you wanted the explanation of La ilaha illallah.
La barakallahu fikum.
Word translation.
Barakallahu fikum. Ana as'alukum an ma'na. Hakada. Naam. Al-ma'na ma'na. Sawakan jumlatan aw tafsilan. Naam. And as for the meaning, whether you give a general and detailed meaning is meaning. لا معبود بحق إلا الله هذا آية. هذه الآية من الله. But still, people have to know what this means. That's why the ulama, they explain. And they're explaining in a language that the people read and they understand Arabic. We explain it in a language you understand here, this English or Arabic, but still people, they need the explanation. Because this is your Jannah. Somebody tell you about dunya, you're going to go all out to make sure you understand. This is the deen of Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala. So we have to take more care and have more right in that regard. Wa barakallahu fikum. When I ask this, not to put anybody on the spot, by the way, this is the way of your Prophet ﷺ. He used to ask, "Tadruna mal ghiba?" Naam. Do you know what is ghiba? Meaning something behind somebody's back. Prophet ﷺ used to ask, "Tadruna mal muflis?" Do you know the one who's bankrupt? Why? To interact with the companions. So if I'm the way of your messenger, our messenger alayhi salatu wasalam, to the best of my ability to interact. If you know, ajib, and you answer, Fillah fatakul ana la adri, Allahu a'lam. Say, I don't know, Allah knows best. This is no degrade, by the way. This is half of knowledge to know when you can say, I don't know. Because if someone don't know what he don't know, guess what? He don't have nothing going on upstairs. You got to at least be able to know, but listen, I don't know. That's a type of knowledge. Alaysa kadalik? Yes. It's a type of knowledge. To know your limits. To know that you don't know. So, barakallahu fikum, the point is that, yani, in other words, this issue you got to know and understand what is La ilaha illallah. Then after that you have conditions. As many of the scholars say, with the kulli, yani, mada mifta asnan. To every key it has teeth. Some people, they like to say to every key has ridges. But I don't like that, because the modern key that we have here has ridges, little slots and cuts. But that's not what they said in the narration. They said asnan, teeth. And teeth are mentioned because the old key, remember, is like a stick of iron, and it actually has two teeth. And you stick it in and you turn it. You know that old key?
Yes.
Anybody knows that?
Yes, I know.
So they use that method because this is old when you talk about parables. This wasn't revealed like last year, 5 years ago. This is the Quran of Allah Ta'ala to the Prophet 1438 years ago. So that key was universal. Nobody knew about the key we got now. You get it from the locksmith. You go to the AC hardware, or you go to Duke Locksmith or Walmart. They didn't know about that. Lowe's and this. That key is universal. So they use the parable teeth. If it doesn't have teeth, it's just the key, it's not going to turn. Similar to the keys we have with ridges and grooves. The grooves don't match up, it's not going to turn. So the key to get into Jannah is what? La ilaha illallah. So the Prophet said, Man qala la ilaha illallah khalisan min qalbih, in one narration, pure from his heart. Haram Allah alayhi an-nar. Then Allah prohibits that he goes to the fire. But you got to know what La ilaha illallah means. Then after that you got keys. The keys are these conditions the Shaykh is talking about. So we were on Muhabba this morning, and we were mentioning Barakallahu Fikum in light of all of this. Al-Tabarak wa ta'ala said, Qul hadi sabili ad'u ila Allah ala al-basira. Ana wa man ittaba'ani wa subhanallah wa ma ana min al-mushrikeen. And one of the brothers, he wanted to comment after we mentioned what the Prophet ﷺ received from Allah. He said, Qul hadi sabili ad'u ila Allah. Yani sabil here, the Prophet ﷺ, Allah told him, وَأَنَّ هَذَا صِرَاطِ مُسْتَقِيمًا فَاتَّبِعُوهُ. Told him, the Prophet ﷺ, this is my way straight, Allah said. فَاتَّبِعُوهُ, follow. And there's a hadith that's authentic, where one of the companions, Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, he said the Prophet was quoting this verse. And he drew a line straight. Then he drew a line this way and that way, to the side, to the left, like this. And then he pointed to the straight line. He said, Hadihi siratullah. This is the straight path of Allah. Making again a parable so that you can understand. When you drink khamr, it's not siratul mustaqim. Go get you a 50 Johnny Walker Red, a'udhu billah. And we know these things because we grew up in Jahiliyyah, by the way. Go get you a fifth of E&J. That's not Siratul Mustaqim. And as we mentioned this morning, there's no slight to the Hafid. People are Hafid, man, they drinking. Let's not act like we don't understand really what Allah has tested us with of deal, debasement, and ma'asi, disobedience. Muslims struggling. Dolian internationally. How you can be a person, you memorize the Quran and you drink it? Something is wrong, man. And we're not talking about mas, not talking about good drinking water. We're talking about liquors, man. The Prophet ﷺ said, La'an Allah, Allah sharib al-khamr. Allah has cursed the one who drinks intoxicants. وَبِالْقِيَاشِ كُلُّونَ الْعُلَمَاءَ الْمُخَادِرَاتِ. And the scholars, they analyze from that anything that has a similar effect. So cocaine, tell me it's pure from Allah. Marijuana, obviously is from the ground. Allah musta'an. Heroin, hashish, all of this. If you use it, the Prophet said the curse of Allah is upon you. وقال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم فيما أخرج في صحيح مسلم لا يقبل الله صلاة 40 يوما. Allah won't accept your salat for 40 days because you're drinking alcohol, drinking intoxicants. So when Prophet wrote in the line, in the ground, the straightness, Siratul Mustaqim, he was trying to show his people what Allah is saying. And that all of those other lines, leave them alone. And that's what Allah said. وَنَهَذَا صِرَاطِ مُسْتَقِيمًا فَاتَّبِعُوهُ. He said, this is my way straight, O Muhammad. Follow it. I can say, well, I'm the messenger. I'm good. I ain't got to do nothing. Put his hands back like that. Allah told him, firstly, follow it. As we mentioned, he's the role model. How's he going to tell you, preach, do this, do that, and then he do whatever he wants? Allah Muslim. That's not a messenger. That's not a righteous individual. So Allah told him, this is my way straight, follow it. وَلَا تَتَّبِعُوا سُبُلًا فَتَّفَرَّقَ بِكُمْ عَنْ سَبِيلِي. And do not follow the other pathways that will take you from the path of mine. It's a statement of Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala in the Quran. وقال تبارك وتعالى في سورة البقرة هو الذي أرسل رسوله بالهدى هو الذي. Somebody help me, I got a mental block. سورة البقرة إبراهيم ويعلمهم الكتاب والحكمة كيف البداية. أيوة بارك الله فيك. هو الذي أرسل رسول هو الذي بعث في لا ده سورة محمد. سورة البقرة ماذا؟
هو الذي بعث الله من
لا مش
الله على المؤمنين.
لا سورة البقرة. بعد وإذ قال له بعد قال وإذ يرفع إبراهيم القواعد من البيت وإسماعيل ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم. ربنا واجعلنا مسلمين لك بعد ذلك بعد هذه ورنا مناسكنا وتب علينا انك انت التواب الرحيم. ربنا وبعث فيهم رسولا منهم يتلو عليهم آياته ويزكيهم ويعلمهم الكتاب والحكمة ويزكيهم. The first juz or the fourth juz? The first one. First one آياتك ويعلمهم الكتاب والحكمة ويزكيهم إنك أنت العزيز. بارك الله فيك. Now, and the second juz وَيَعَلِّمُكُمُ الْكِتَابَ وَالْحِكْمَةَ وَيَعَلِّمُكُمْ مَا لَمْ تَكُونُوا تَعْلَمُونَ. هذا في جزء ثاني. Yeah. And this يعني لا بأس بارك الله فيكم. Humans, you get a mental block sometimes. You know it's right there. You can't reach for it. So you got to have people around you who know the Quran. Hey, the point is Allah said, it is He who has chose and brought and raised from amongst them, meaning the lineage of Ibrahim, as he's making dua at the top of the page, a messenger. Yatlu alayhim ayatina. He's going to read to them, the people, our verses. وَيُعَلِّمُهُمُ الْكِتَابَ وَالْحِكْمَةِ. And he's going to teach them the book and the hikmah. وَيُزَكِّيهِمْ. And this is going to also be a period where he's going to teach you how to purify yourself from sin. Many of the scholars that said hikmah in this verse, it means sunnah. Sunnah. So here, what's the point? We're talking about this muhabba. We're talking about the basira. We're talking about Siratullah Jalla wa Ula. And every rak'ah Allah says, Ihdina Siratul Mustaqim. Guide us to the straight path. And then the collection of Ibn Abi Asim, he said, authentic hadith, he mentioned the Prophet ﷺ, he said, As-siratu huwa al-Islam. The straight path, it is Islam. So the point, Barakallahu Fikum, and the Muhabba and Tabaraku wa Ta'ala, he mentioned this in the Quran. And Hassan al-Basri, whenever somebody will mention the issue of loving the Prophet ﷺ, he will quote, قُلْ إِن كُنْتُمْ تُحِبُّونَ اللَّهَ فَاتَّبِعُونِي يُحْبِبُكُمُ اللَّهُ. Which Allah told the Prophet, say to them, they're making this claim, O Muhammad, tell them, if you really love Allah, follow me, the messenger. And Shaykh Islam, even though Qayyim al-Jawziyah, he mentioned, this love, this is the asas, huwa asas ubudiyah. This is the whole thing why you worship Allah, why you testify to Allah, being the one to worship. This is the sole reason you submit to Him, you do good deeds, you stay away from what's haram. Why? Because you have a love for Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala. That He gave you. Life, gave you vision, gave you hearing, gave you taste buds, gave you ability to have family and children. On top of that, then He guides you to Islam. SubhanAllah. While people are destitute for guidance, astray. Guidance right at their fingertip, they're going the other way. Following men. Fleeing from it. Allah guide you to Islam. So why not? Love Him. But the way to love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, follow the messenger. ليش الناس هنا خلف يتكلمون لماذا؟ ضروري أو ماذا? Some people talking like there's a necessity or what's some emergency, what's happening? Huh?
They're behind the veil, behind the curtain, I don't know.
بارك الله فيكم. لكن بارك الله فيكم من آداب العلم أن يستفيدون قبل أن يأتي أحدكم الموت. You benefit before the angel comes. نسأل الله سبحانه وتعالى ينفعنا آمين. So this, the Shaykh, he mentioned this last muhabba. And wallahi, it's an advice to everybody. And especially when you have visitors, treat them well, you give them food, and you give them drink, you look after them, you make them comfortable. But from the Prophet ﷺ, his way, who also give the visitors something for their soul. Who will give them something that they will benefit from both wise, physically and spiritually. This morning, we're talking about al-basira as we wind down. And I hope those that have been in the back talking, they can come out and benefit, inshallah, unless they have to rest from sickness or whatever. And it's no compulsion, but definitely it's a benefit for you. When the verse was mentioned this morning, the brother Zahallah Khair, and Allah bless him, he mentioned some explanation of this basira. And we mentioned before that Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala commanded the Prophet ﷺ to follow his way. Even the Prophet ﷺ, he's mamluka lillah. He belongs to Allah. He cannot do as he likes. And Tabaraka wa Ta'ala also threatened him if he was to disobey, Allah would seize him by his forelock. This is the messenger. That same messenger, alayhi salatu wasalam, he mentioned that there will be du'at ala abwab jahannam. There will be callers. This is a sign in the last day. Callers on the brink of the hellfire. There will be calling people in the name of the deen, in the name of religion. He said, whoever answered their call, all of them will be flung in the fire together. Why? Because we're going to have some calls that are not the call of the messenger. Although it may appear to be the call of the messenger, dressed up in a suit, it's not the call of the messenger. And this is why the companions, they were concerned about this. The companions, they were afraid about this. That they would be inventing something in the religion. They would go astray after the death of the Prophet. The shaitan would come and make division, and they would fight over dunya, and they were worried about this. Then we should be more worried about that. So wallahi, barakallahu fikum, as your brother in Islam, as we mentioned before, unless to be alam wala shaykhun kabir, bal tulab min tulabihim. I'm not a scholar. Wala billah. This is defamation. I'm not a big sheikh, I'm the student of those big scholars and big shuyukh. Everybody has to know their place. But we don't need a big scholar in front of us. We're working with very little and we're struggling. So this is sufficient to have someone who's not a big alim. This doesn't make a difference when you talk about following what's right, if he's alim or not. If he's small, but he brings the haq, then he's big. And if he's big, he goes against the haq, the truth, then he's little. Meaning Allah diminishes that person because they turn away from the haq. And we were talking about the verse, وَاتَّقُوا اللَّهُ وَيَعَلِّمُكُمُ اللَّهُ. And we said that wallahi, and the Sufiya, they use this verse. They may have a good intention, and Sufiya are many. We can't get into all of the different tariqah, and all of the different ways that they have. This one make a branch, this one make a branch. But we understand that when the people like to mention to follow the way of the Prophet, they say Sunni. Without any glue, extremists, they say Sunni. Because the Prophet said, alaykum bi sunnati. Command you to hold to my sunnah. So if you hold to a sunnah, this is the attribute of your Sunni. You're holding to something. Just like you say, I'm from America. If you say, I'm from America, you say, Ana Amariki. You are making a difa ila shay. You are attaching yourself by identification to something. The people, they say, Barakallahu fikum Shi'i. Nobody, they find the problem with this. Tablighi, they find no problem. Sufi, have no problem. Ikhwani, have no problem. But if someone says Sunni, or he says Salafi, then the people, they say, no, Allah named us Muslim. And we know from any of these groups we have movements. There's a difference between following the way of the Salaf and making a movement saying that you're Salafi. We know this. But we're talking pure, 100% uncut, what is the religion? If you follow the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and you follow the book of His messenger, the sunnah of His messenger, follow the book of Allah and the sunnah, of His messenger, and you've been commanded to follow the companions. Allah said, وَاتَّبِعْ غَيْرَ سَبِيلِ مُؤْمِنِينَ. Who were the believers in the time when it was revealed? The companions. Allah attached not following them to the hellfire. He didn't attach that to any other people. He attached that, not following those companions, to the hellfire. وَاتَّبِعْ غَيْرَ السَّبِيلِ مُؤْمِنِينَ نُوَلِّهِمْ مَا تَوَلَّوْا وَنُصْلِمْ جَهَنَّمَ وَسَاءَتْ مَصِيرًا وَهُمُ الصَّحَابَةُ بِإِجْمَاعِ هَذِهِ الْأُمَّةِ. Everybody agreed this is the companions. And if you follow that without any glue, or without rallying people around particular scholars, it's everybody does it. It's not just a fitna you find as people like to attack with the people who claim Salafiyya. No, before this, during the time, 41 years after the death of the Prophet, this jumped off the scene. Even before that, the Khawarij, they were there with the companions in the time of Ali. This is an old issue where people, they make taqleed, they blind follow. And they get behind something without really knowing and investigating and knowing why. And then after, if Allah bless you to investigate, the hard part is now, what are you going to do? Because you have to swallow your pride if you were wrong and you want to correct yourself. We know as convert Muslims, we came from Christianity. We had to give up a lot to be Muslim. Learn stuff the wrong way from people who came from way overseas. Good intention, no intention. They taught us a lot of bid'ah. Shove this down your throat. This is Islam. We found out later, man, ain't none of this from Islam. And if so, very little. We had to go back and fix all of that. Your recitation, your belief, imagine. You got to fix all of that. You saying something the wrong way, you know the right way, you struggling in your brain. You have to fix all of that. Difficult. But you have to do it if you're sincere. Wallahi, there's a big debate. I'm going to be honest and straight. Jazakallah khair. It's a big debate. And some people will tell you every person that is known to be a scholar from the Sunnah and follow the way of the Salaf al-Salih, they will say that Jamaat Tablighi, there are people who are ignorant. And Jamaat Tablighi, there are people of bid'ah. People will tell you that. But when you go and investigate, wallahi, some scholars of Ahlul Sunnah, who follow the way of the Salaf al-Salih, they praise the Jamaat Tablighi. And they say that, the brothers, they have a juhud kabira ala da'wa ilallah. They have, a big eagerness to call to the da'wah of Allah. So they said, don't criticize them. Don't make them innovate. Don't say this, that. Teach them. Others say, we have to know the origin of where this began. Because the common folk, a lot of times, they have no idea. They just heard someone say, come on, go, brother, in the path. How many days you picking? 3, 10, whatever. They go. Maybe some brother, he just got out of jail. He do right. He wants to get out of the neighborhood. Another brother, he loves the brotherhood. And the people treat him nice, he want to go. Another brother, he's single, has nothing but time. La bas. But when we look at the issue, there's a split. And some of them, because of the origin, from Muhammad, Ilyas, who many may not know, from India, who made this movement, then they say you have to go back to the origin, because they said everything that's built upon something false, guess what? It's false. It's a general principle in the religion. You go back and you do your own research. What he believes, what he wrote, this and that. But what we want to do is give a nasiha to the brothers. Because what of those scholars that said, la bas, leave them alone, they're okay, they're good brothers. What if they're wrong? You always have to be worried about what if. That's for all of us. Because that what if, it benefits us. And this is part of the religion. To worship Allah upon raja, hope for raja. Hope in Allah reward you, fear in Allah will punish you. It's everybody. No matter what he claimed, what movement, what madhab, what teachings, everybody, that's his real circumstance. Because you don't know what Allah is going to accept, what Allah is not going to accept. Who Allah is going to punish, who is going to... We have no idea. If someone say he knows, then he's like Jim Jones, who told the people drink, and they drunk and almost died. We know the ruler for suicide. Or they like Kabani and these people. And he told the people, Allah Musta'an, all of these crazy things from these different Sufi backgrounds. Wallahi. What would it be like someone's going to tell you, yani, when you die, they're going to get your soul before the angel of death. The angel of death gets your soul, he has a job. Take it, then the angel of punishment gets it, or the angel of mercy. What would it be like if I tell you, when you die, don't worry, I'm going to get your soul. And when the angels ask you the question in the grave, I'm going to whisper to you the answers, you'll be okay. I'm guaranteeing you like you going to Jannah through me. Jazakallah khair. I'm aware about it. Thank you very much. What would it be like? People promising you all of these things that really they're of the unseen. Even the prophet, he didn't know the unseen. The only part he knew about the future, Allah had to inform him. If it wasn't for that, he had no idea. So what if those people who say those aspects or the reason they say is bid'ah? You got to evaluate. Put down the kibr, put down how long you've been doing, how much you love the sheikh. You got to go and investigate for yourself. You also find the debate. If you can use the hadith about the man who came to the Prophet, he was new in the religion. He said, Islam is so many things. Give me something I can do. Prophet told him, after the shahada, of course, to pray 5 times a day. Pay the zakat. Fast Ramadan. Treat the halal as halal, the haram as haram. The man said, I don't have to do anything other than that. The Prophet said, illa tutur. Except you want to do extra. The man said, Wallah, Ya Rasulullah, ma uzid anha, wala, yani, wala anqas. I'm not going to increase nor do anything less than that. I'm just going to do that, that's it. Prophet told him in Sadq Aflah, if you're truthful, you're going to succeed. That man, the Prophet said, go back and tell your people. Go back and give this message to your people. So the argument is, can you use that to say, I can get 15 people, 20 people, and go somewhere for dawah to another country for whatever amount of days based on this hadith? Some of them say it's dawah. What's wrong with it? This is evidence. Others said no. Because that man came to the Prophet and asked him about something he had as a need. The Prophet answered him and said, go back to your people. But when you leave and you go to this place and this place and that place, that's clear that's not your people. You're going to visit your brothers. You're going to visit other places. So this is part of the argument. This is part of the argument. And some have said that when Prophet sent those who we agree that were scholars, Mu'adh ibn Jabal was a scholar, he sent him to Yemen. But he sent him alone. He sent Ali ibn Abi Talib to another part of Yemen. But he sent him alone. He sent Abu Musa al-Ash'ari. But he sent him alone. He also sent Mughir ibn Shu'bah to Nijran, the border of Saudi and Yemen. But they were sent alone. So some use that argument and say, so this is the way to send somebody or to go for dawah. Not to make it that you have to go as a group. If you go as a group, not best. But to make it, you have to go as a group, Allahumma musta'an. This is part of the argument. If you make it clear, you don't have to go as a group, we just choose, or some of the brothers, they go every now and then by themselves, or one person with them, and it becomes known, then people say, well, it's not restricted, you can do this or that. But once people think it has to be a group, we have to go in Jamaat, then some people are going to definitely argue, where's the evidence for this? And of course, بَلِّغْ عَنِّي وَلَوْ آيَةً. And Prophet ﷺ, he mentioned this in that hadith as well. Person doesn't have to be a scholar. Person doesn't have to be a scholar. It's a misconception. Many people think you have to be talib al-ilm, you have to be a scholar. No, you don't. You're just conveying something to somebody. Whatever you have. And if Allah would have made it like that, you have to be a scholar or alim. Think of the difficulty, how it would be for us. So no, you don't have to be an alim. You have to be a scholar. But you have to know what you're calling to. You have to have the knowledge of what you're really doing. And it's not that you just take somebody because he's a great sheikh and you go with him. No, this deen is based upon evidence. Even the issue of taqwa, as we say, who was the most pious after the Prophet ﷺ? Who can tell me? Fatima? Who's the most pious after the Prophet? Fatima's daughter? Abu Bakr. It's Jamaat. Why? Because nobody could outdo that man. You don't need no voting poll. You don't need to pull no straws. Nobody could outdo the man. In virtue, in iman, even when the man came to make fun of the Prophet, he said, listen, if Muhammad went to the heavens and back in one night, and if he said that he did that, it's true. The man was only talking about from Mecca to Jerusalem. Abu Bakr went a step further. He said that Muhammad said he went to the heavens and back in one night. It's true. You don't get no stronger, no better, no more taqwa than that. But it's known, Abu Bakr was not like Ali ibn Abi Talib. Ali ibn Abi Talib kana alim kabir, alum ad-din. And it's not Shia, by the way, to praise Ali like this. This is his fadal from the messenger. He was an ocean of knowledge. وكذلك عثمان ibn Affan, alim kabir. But that was not the case for Abu Bakr wala Umar. So if this verse was to be used like that, fear Allah and Allah will teach you, why did Abu Bakr have to go to his daughter Aisha for fatwa? And he wasn't ashamed. It's all in the books of history. He went to Aisha for fatwa. Him and Abu Bakr. Because it's more than taqwa. We're not saying don't be muttaqi. Be muttaqi. But don't think if you just fear Allah and you don't do any backbiting and no zina, khalas, Allah's going to awaken you and send revelation to you, and then you're going to start and you're an alim because you were muttaqi. No, this akhi barakallahu fikum. This is almost like Christianity we came out of. Mysticism and spookism and all of this. No. We have to feel and have a different way once we accept Islam. Yeah, something in our heart, but it's not like that. If so, the Prophet wouldn't have went through all his life the way he did. Who was more muttaqi than the Prophet? Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala told him, لا تحرك لسانك لتعجل به إن علينا جمع القرآن. He was trying to say what Jibril, imagine I'm telling you to say something, and you're trying to get that thing. And I told him, don't do that. Take it easy. We the one sending this Quran to you through Jibril. It's going to be in your heart. Don't worry about it. We're going to take care of that part. وَإِذَا قَرَأْنَا فَاتَّبِعْ قُرْآنَ. And then when you read it, follow that Quran. ثُمَّ إِنَّ عَلَيْنَا بَيَانًا. And we will clarify to you what you don't know. That's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala telling the messenger. You see. So, wallahi, even, the issue of bayan and so forth. Wallahi, my advice is to the brothers because I love them. You go to anybody's masjid, you can't just get up. Yeah, I know this is part of the madhab of the Tablighi. Wallahi, barakallahu fikum. But you can't get up and just start talking. You have to get that permission from the imam. Because he has their trust. Just like if you have your own masjid, nobody can just come and start talking or lead the salah. You have a nidam. Kulukum ra'im wa kulukum mas'ul mada. The Prophet said that all of you have a responsibility and you'll be questioned about that charge. In the hadith, the Prophet said, Imam ra'im wa huwa mas'ul. He has a charge and he's going to be questioned. It's just like your house. You say, I love you, Shaykh Kasha, mashallah, anything you want, my house is your house. But you don't mean that. I'm going to come in with the key, you come in and find me in your bed. You'll beat me to death. All your food gone, sit down, playing Nintendo with your sons and this and that. No, not like that. It's your house. I'll tell you, khalas, qima salat. I'm going to lead you in salat and your sons and children and daughters. And no, I'm out of line. If you have one ayat you remember, one verse you memorize, that's that you're the imam. It's the same way in the masjid. So these are the etiquettes when we talk about da'wah. Yani kalimat tayyibah, like you guys are known for. We need to have good character, but you have to have the ilm too. Have to have the ilm. You're going to take from the Sahih al-Bukhari and Muslim. Take from the Riyad al-Salihin. And don't read the hadith just for barakah or for fadal a'mal. No, you have a hadith that has some fadal in it, alhamdulillah. Fadal means virtue. But you have a hadith also that has hukm to it. Like the hadith of Umar ibn Umar, as we wind down. It's in the Riyad al-Salihin. Comes out of the Bukhari and the Muslim. Where he said the Prophet he raised his hands for kabbara, or fayaday. Allahu Akbar, like this. Which the brothers, when they pray, they shouldn't say Allahu Akbar. That's for the janazah prayer and the Eid prayer. Your takbirah after the imam should be low. The imam should say Allahu Akbar and say Allahu, Allah. No. It's not the way for us to pray the 5 daily prayer. When you're doing Eid or Janazah, yes, everybody they make it the takbirah out now. But this 5 salat, no. We keep reminding the brothers because sometimes they forget something like that. Now, wallahi, in this case, Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala made it like this for him. Made it like this, where the masjid have a responsibility. You have to be knowledgeable of the sunnah. It's not just all virtue. If you read that hadith of Ibn Umar says, Prophet sallallahu akbar, and then he moved, you're going to find he said when he came out of ruku' he raised his hands. You're going to find he said before he went into ruku' he raised his hands. If you read that hadith, you have an evidence now. Although in the Hanafi madhab, it's not recorded that you raise your hands like that. And what do we say about Abu Hanifa? We don't attack him like some people say he took a weak hadith over authentic hadith. Hasha lillah. هو إمام من أفاضل وأكابر تابعين. How can you say this about him? هذا عيب إلا بالدليل. But we say حسن ظن, perhaps the hadith didn't reach him. As all of them say, إذا صح حديث فهو مذهبي. If you find the authentic hadith, then that's my way. Meaning, I taught you something different, but had that hadith reached me, guess what? That's what I would have told you would have been my way. This is what madhab means. Someone's teaching you. But you find the hadith today, you can't still pray and don't raise your hands going into ruku' and raise your hands coming out of ruku', and you have authentic hadith that the Prophet did that. This is when you talk about the realities of da'wah ila Allah tabaraka wa ta'ala. This is when you talk about the realities of when you go somewhere, you want to benefit the people. Forget what the people say about this and that. This is the reality for every da'i. Whoever taught and teaches everything is just for a story or a benefit lie. Tabaraka wa ta'ala revealed even the Quran in conclusion like this. وَالَّذِي أَنزَلَ عَلَيْكَ الْكِتَابِ مِنْهُ آيَاتٍ مُحْكَمَاتٌ. Some of the ayahs are for hukum. هُنَّ أُمُّ الْكِتَابِ. هكذا. They are the foundations of the book. Because without that, people would just do whatever they want. As Muhammad ibn Sirin, he said, the great tabi, إِنَّ هَذَا إِلْمَ الدِّينِ. Nah, this knowledge is deen. If it's not for the chain that we can verify what's authentic, what's not, then a person would say whatever he like. It'd be like we wasn't Christianity. Just Jesus and saying whatever. Has no validity to it whatsoever. So this is my advice, Barakallahu fikum. Don't leave and go to another place except you remember this advice to you. Yani, work together to learn the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. Leave off any particular way of madhab other than the madhab of the Prophet ﷺ. Follow the way of the Prophet ﷺ first in Tawheed. ما في دعوة إلا بالتوحيد أول. There's no da'wah except you calling the people to worship Allah Ta'ala. Leave off the shirk, leave off the kufr, leave off the bid'ah. This is the origin of every prophet and messenger. وَأَنْتُمْ تَعْلَمُونَ. You know this, you read the Quran. وَلِمَاذَا لَمْ تَدْعُوا إِلَى هَذَا. So why not call to that? Allah Ta'ala is going to ask you. مَنْ رَبُّكَ? Who is your Lord? There's no way you're going to be successful, any one of us, in that answer if you didn't have the tawheed here and you didn't call the people. You have ability. You're going from here there. Allah's given you ability. You have to do it. وَلَا تَخَافُوا اللَّوْمَةَ لَائِمٍ. Don't worry about what the people are going to say. This is the real da'wah. This is the real tabligh. This is the real way of the Prophet ﷺ. يَدُوَ السَّبِيلَ رَبِّكَ بِالْحِكْمَ مَوْعِظَةٌ حَسَنَةٌ وَجَادِلْهُمْ بِالَّتِي هِيَ أَحْسَنُ وَلَقَدْ بَعَثْنَا لِكُلِّ أُمَّةٍ رُسُولًا أَنِ اعْبُدُوا اللَّهَ وَاجْتَنِبُوا الطَّاغُوتَ. We have sent every nation messengers proclaiming, leave the false deities, worship Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala. هذا هو الذي أردت ونسأل الله سبحانه وتعالى أن يعلمنا من علمه. We ask Allah to teach us from His knowledge. ونسأل الله تبارك وتعالى أن يسكننا كلنا جنة الفردوس الأعلى, to give us all Jannah. ونسأل تبارك وتعالى أن لا يعذبنا ولا يسقينا من العذاب. Ask Allah not to punish us and not to give us a taste of the punishment. ونسأل الله سبحانه وتعالى حق الحق الحق ويبطل الباطل إنه سمع الدعاء. Ask Allah to make the truth appear as truthfulness and to make the falsehood appear just as it is. وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على رسوله الكريم وعلى آله وأصحابه وسلم تسليما كثيرا والحمد لله رب العالمين. Any comments, questions, or corrections? And I always say this in all of my dars online. Barakallahu fikum. Wa sahlan wa marhaban bikum. نسأل الله سبحانه وتعالى يثيبنا جميعا والحمد لله العالمين. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. نعم تفضل.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask him about the hadith. Is there any imperfections or incorrections been found in the end of the hadith of the Prophet? I mean, people that say, is it factual or just false?
About the Prophet?
Yes.
Yeah, if you're asking, do people lie on the Prophet? Is that your question?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is not a new thing. Everybody has done it. And we learned when we studied hadith in Yemen, and these specialized ways that the scholars of hadith themselves have come up with, that the basis of these ways come from the Quran and Sunnah. They teach you how to detect these defects. Just like if you go to the doctor asks you a series of questions. You got a fever, how long have you been constipated, this, that, and the third, what you eat, cough, let me see, breathe. Why? He's trying to detect where the problem is. So they have a set of different standards that you can detect if you're a person who learned hadith, or a common folk if you're taught by a person who studied hadith, how to determine if this is true or not, because they attribute stuff to the Prophet, sometimes it's not true.
Okay.
For example, if a person says that, and it's been said and attributed to the Prophet, that the Prophet, Allah made Medina sacred because the Prophet loved Medina. And Allah made Mecca sacred because Allah, He loves Mecca. You get from this that Allah loves Mecca and the Prophet loves Medina, as if the Prophet didn't love Mecca too. But we understand that one of the main rules in Islam is that whoever submits to Allah, he not only has to love Allah, which will make him obey Allah and worship Allah, he has to love what Allah loves and whom Allah loves too.
Right.
He has to love what Allah loves and whom Allah loves too. So is it thinkable with that principle that you just learned that Allah loves Mecca and the Prophet doesn't? If Allah loves Mecca, the Prophet has to love Mecca, or he cannot love Mecca. Which one?
He has to.
He has to love Mecca.
Right.
So that's how you know that hadith is not authentic. It's forged, because the Prophet, of course, he loves everything that Allah loves.
Yes.
Allah, he loves Jibreel. Does the Prophet have the choice to say, well, I don't like Jibreel, I like this angel? No. He has to love Jibreel because what? Allah, he loves Jibreel. Yeah.
Right.
So this is one of the ways you detect if this is a forged narration tribute to the Prophet. Another one. The moon and the sun, they are signs that Allah exists and that He's great. They're signs. But creation is the thing that submits to Allah wa ta'ala. When you talk about making the tawaf, going around the Kaaba like we talked about earlier.
Yeah.
So, is it thinkable that someone will say the moon makes tawaf around the Kaaba? No, nobody will understand that.
Right.
So when you hear the person said that the moon makes tawaf around the Kaaba, or Noah's Ark make, automatically this is forged from the Prophet, because this is against the logic of why Allah created the human beings and those that will worship Him in the first place. Right. The ship is not going to be held accountable. The moon is not going to be held accountable. We will be held accountable. So we have things to do to worship Allah in that fashion. So you have many of them, narrations, that they attribute to the Prophet. So far, they have not stopped. They do it to the people of knowledge. They do it to the companions. They attribute stuff to Ali. You go back and check, Ali didn't say it. Well, it's against what Ali learned from the Prophet ﷺ. You find great imams, they love Abu Hanifa.
Okay. So
they make something up and they attribute to Abu Hanifa. You go back and check Imam Abu Hanifa's writings, it's far from what Abu Hanifa said. They love Imam Malik, they love Imam Shafi'i, they do the same thing. And now it trickles down to today, where people, they attribute stuff and they group around or blind follow. And this is just a human thing. May Allah protect us from it. The best way to be remedied from that is to stick close to the Quran, the authentic Sunnah of the Prophet.
Okay.
All of these things are preserved and they're translated. We have the most stuff probably after Arabic and English, and Allah knows best. What the companion said, stuff is translated, so we don't have to be astray or just blind follow. But we encourage the people again to learn the Arabic language, no matter how old you are, how young, because this is the real key to opening the chest of knowledge. And still, you have to ask Allah to guide you. Many Arabs went astray. Rather, most of the Arabs are astray historically. And Arabic is a tool. It's not the ends that you're saved because you know Arabic, but it's a tool to gain the deepest, correct understanding of the Book of Allah, the Sunnah of His Messenger, and those other aspects of the religion. I hope I made myself clear.
Very.
Very,
I understand.
Jazakallah khair. Baki Shay. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت وأتوب إليك وبارك الله فيك. So night after Salat al-Maghrib, I will talk about the